get sorted here. Time to make a move. It's blowy as hell, so that's not great. 30-mile-an-hour cross gusts. And why am I moving on such a turbulent day? Well, I'm just sick of this place. You must be thinking, what are you on about? Are you mad? It's a lovely place. Do you know, as I've stepped out into the wind, I'm kind of thinking, maybe I should stay put for the day. That is a hell of a wind. I wanted to make a move 3 days ago, but I injured my heel somehow. Still not entirely sure how. Right, so ready to go. Stuck on the shelf. I think the front end's fairly loose, back end's on the shelf, so let's see what happens if I just push the front. Does come out here. Okay, there we go. Front end's coming out for me. Back end's still on the shelf. Further on the shelf now. Right, bit of a job pushing it off this shelf, to be honest. It's well and truly, there we go. Get it, make sure it's properly clear. Whew. I mean, I knew it was a shelf. I knew it was quite bad. But that took a shove. Let's get this coat off now. A bit breezy and a bit chilly still. But I've warmed up nicely. Leighton Buzzard is 6 miles away, that's where I'm going. That's the next main leg. Beautiful little spot, but this is going to sound weird, but there was something that unsettled me. I can't really put my finger on what it was. Yeah, anyway. It could entirely be imagination, so. Oh, very nice brew. Lukewarm already. So here's a lovely Dutch barge styled white wide beam in cream. It'll be a flat bottomed, I think, but it's got the windows. They're characteristic of the modern Dutch barges, and I'll bet you it's a lovely boat. So I'm just going to look at the wharf and see, as I pass, see if I can maybe just nose in and get maybe 50 litres or so of water, just to sort of see me through tonight, because I'll be on the move again tomorrow. This is the wharf. Very tempting, isn't it? It's a tight spot though. No, sorry, it's too tight a spot. No, I'll go. So there's the much needed tap. Customers during office hours only. Oh right, so they're saying don't rock up before office hours, which I've just done. Oh, and there's a lady there as well. Now this thing is more like a traditional Dutch barge, a sort of a coastal Dutch barge, capable of river cruising. Morning. Do you know what's interesting? I'm seeing open windows here and evidence of people arising and shining rather earlier than I expected. So I've got a short cruise, right, so it's time to explain. I'm moving on, of course. Milton Keynes and Bletchley are kind of behind me, and we're pretty much now either about to or sort of are entering the rural area between about 5 or 6 miles between Bletchley, southern tip of Milton Keynes, and Leighton Buzzard, which is where I'm going. That's the next major stop, but there are 4 locks on the way, and I want to split them up, which is a terribly wimpish thing to do, you might think, but not really. And also, I've got the horsefly spray because they are out and about. Right, but there's a big saga. There's always a saga, isn't it? So, saga is, Kevin's now returned to his home mooring about 10 miles north. A couple of days ago, actually, a few days ago. Now, I've got a bit of an injury that slowed me down. I wouldn't have even been here now because the mooring wasn't brilliant. It was lovely, but there was nothing really there. The shops are 2 miles away, you know, blah, blah, blah. So I wouldn't have even stayed there, except on Thursday or thereabouts, I gave myself some sort of heel injury. And I discovered it. I don't know how I did it. I'm guessing by landing heavily on the bank with my full weight on the heel. So I don't know. So I've sort of compressed the heel and damaged it in some, thankfully, temporary way, I hope. And it's been getting gradually better since. So it's now 6 days, isn't it? Now 6 days of it. But anyway, it is getting better, so that's good. And I can get about, but I don't want to do 4 locks because the thing about the 4 locks, they're double locks, so there's a bit of to-ing and froing at locks. Walking from the boat to the thing, climbing up the ladder sometimes, well, most times to be fair, you know. And it's not only that you have to do the walking around, which, you know, itself is, it's not massive. It's more the fact that you have to do it sort of fairly smartly. Yeah, so I don't really fancy it today. I'd rather give it another day. So I'm going to go through the one, and I'm going to more short of the 3, I think. Now the 3 are manned, I'm told. Kevin says they're manned, or they were, a few years back. He first came up here 4 years ago when he bought his boat and hasn't been down this way since. I don't think he's been past. No, he said, in the 4 years since he got his boat, the furthest south he's been was that Willowbridge marina. But he did come this way initially. There's also the challenge that I have now 2-3 weeks worth of rubbish to get rid of. My plan is, it's just endless exposition, but you know, you need to understand why I do this apparently daft things, which aren't daft. Yeah, if I'm assisted at the locks, they won't want me to hang about. It's a lovely boat. Called Julia. Beautiful thing. And of course there's a no mooring sign right next to it. He doesn't care about that. So there's a few campers here as well. I'm wondering if this is one of those sneaky little park-ups that the van lifers use. Sneaky little park-up. Middle of nowhere. You could probably spend a few days there in peace and quiet without being bothered by the authorities or locals, I would think. So where was I? Yeah, the bins. I was going to stop in the top lock, wait there, empty the bins, and then press on. But if it's manned and there's 2 guys helping me and there's boats coming, nobody will want that they'll all want me to press on. So I don't exactly know what will happen. I'll feel under pressure to hurry down with the bags, and it might be 200, 100 yards, I don't know. And I've got this bloody heel injury, so I can't really sort of hurry. I can only walk fairly slowly. Are we there? 500 feet. That's like 150, 170 yards. So around this next bend is the loch. So I'm going to have to do some work, guys, which is not really very welcome. But the other thing is, right, I've got a bloody stiff neck. I've woken up this morning. I mean, again, it'll go in a day or two. But I've woken up. This never normally happens. Woken up with a bloody stiff neck. So this is Stoke Hammond Loch. So let's see what state the loch's in. If it's ready for my grand entrance. I feel as if it's not quite empty, but let's give it a go. Sometimes it is. It looked like it was nowhere near level. There you go. So that was correct. Gate opened without the need for paddles, which is bloody marvellous. It's obviously got a leak in it. So the idea is to edge in with only one gate open. Right, let's get that and them off. And that. I'm trying to avoid climbing on the roof because of my heel injury. I feel like my heel, although it's slowing me down, making me limp a bit, it would allow me to do those 3 lochs today. So I'll see how things look. So let's see what happens to the boat. Yeah, thankfully there's no queue. If there was a queue of boats, I would not be able to be this leisurely. Let's get this open. There we go. Right. I wonder if this guy might help. Excuse me? Excuse me? I don't suppose I could ask a small favour. Anyway, but listen, thanks again. Cheers, and you have a nice day too. Bye bye. What a lovely chap. I lied to that bloke, which is sad, because I told him that I was going to Leighton Buzzard, or further to Leighton Buzzard than what I actually am. In fact, I'm mooring up before the 3 lochs. It's only come up a couple of lochs, but look at that down there. Now I see the issue. The lighter line near the top is sort of the permanent ideal water line, and then there's there's a thin band of that where the sort of the lower level's been for a while, and now it's gone down even more. So that could be 10 inches. My guess, certainly minimum 8 inches below its ideal level. Yeah, and they've decided to close the lochs, which is, it'll probably only be temporary. I think it's probably going to be a few days, surely. Surely. Because there's going to be like queues of boats building up wanting to move. Imagine all the hire boaters coming up the Grand Union. But we've got a absolutely fantastic day. The other thing, right, it is Tuesday today, but this weekend, in fact it won't be this weekend, Thursday, Friday and Saturday, and I think Sunday, we're going to have like a 4-day heat wave where we're going to have 30-degree temperatures. So not a proper heat wave. But here's the thing, it's going to be sunny all day, there won't be any cloud cover, there'll be no relief. And what happens is, the boat, when it's exposed to the sun all day, gets really hot. So I've got to find a spot before Thursday. And we're only half a mile. We're half a mile from Soulbury Locks. They're called Soul, as in soul, as in black and evil soul, which obviously isn't referring to me. I do like these Grand Union bridges because there's like zero stress, well, almost no stress. When you're on the narrower northern canals, you know, your Llangollen's and all that kind of thing, sometimes you've only got about 6 inches, 8 inches either side. Yeah, you've not got a lot of wiggle room through some of those northern bridges there. These are much easier. On the downside, of course, you've got all these southern monkeys, ain't you? Alright? All your bleeding Londoners and all that. All that. I wish I could do it. It shouldn't be that hard, should it? I've watched many episodes of the Sweeney, although that was some years ago. So I was never a fan, but you know, I ought to have absorbed enough knowledge of the Cockney accent. Just by osmosis, really. But it just hasn't happened. I just don't seem to be able to do it, do I? I've tried and I've bloody tried, Mary Poppins, and I can't bloody do it. I know I can't do it, but I can't stop trying. I can't just let it go and just talk like a normal human being. No, I love them really. I love them, don't I? Salt of the earth. Salt of the bleeding earth. They all sound the same. Sorry guys, you all sound the same. You know, Kent, East London, West London, South London, Milton Keynes. You all sound the bleeding same. Soulbury Locks still 0.3 miles away. I'm looking, the reason, my stiff neck, the reason I'm sort of looking and paying attention is because I want to stop short of the locks. I don't think the boaters down here have too much interaction with the fishermen, because those two, neither of those two were at all interested in saying hello. The first one just looked away from me completely. Second one looked, and he did respond, but I got the impression he would quite happily have not bothered, you know. So they're not used to interacting, I think. Mind you, now I'm saying that the ones up north are as well. They're kind of a different breed, the fishists, really. I tried to repair, well I'm going to try to repair my boat cover, and I'm not optimistic. The results so far, the effort has been great and the results have been minimal. There's a gap in between the boats. If there's no gap, I'm kind of stuck. Bloody hell, that was a horsefly, actually landed on my forehead. I think it was. That was outrageous. The actual cheek. Right. I might be a bit stuck here. I might be stuck, guys. So, okay. Well, now this is going to be interesting. Okay. There's space here on the end for half a boat, bit of Armco, but there's nothing else. These are 2-day moorings. I think I've got to do the 3 locks, guys. Well, do you know what? I've got the stiff neck, but other than that, I'm okay. So I could have squeezed in there if all the boats had gotten a bit closer to each other. But as it is, I cannot moor. For the first time on this expedition, in the south, really, I've gotten to a mooring early doors and there's no space. Now we're in the open. The wind's trying to take me off from the bank. Morning. Oh yeah, fine, thanks, yeah. Yeah, no worries. No, I'm not looking forward to these guys, but got to be done. They should just flatten it all out. They should flatten it all out. We shouldn't have to do this. So, the problem I've got, my cunning plan has come unstuck, because what I was going to do was moor up back there. But there's a solid line of boats. There's one space, but it's kind of on a bend. So the back end will be stuck about 3 foot out into the cut. What I feel like I'll do is basically just go through these locks. There's 3 of them, which is a pain, but no option really. Lovely lady just shouted over, did I need any help from the boat in front. I'm afraid all I could do is complain about how many hills there are. But it's all a government conspiracy to make me work as hard as possible and get me into a 15-minute city afterwards, no doubt. A 15-minute mooring, perhaps. Fortunately, I'm not conspiratorially minded. So if you're tempted to put me right, dear viewer, I would ask you not to bother. I'm not a fan of the idea that someone who's done some YouTube research for a few days is a better authority on anything than the hundreds of scientists who've devoted their lives to it. So I was going to moor up, but alas, I am not anymore. And now I'm going to do the 3 locks.